Hi everybody, I'm Carissa from 7th Street Gifts. We're a small family-owned and operated brick-and-mortar apothecary shop in Newport, Kentucky. Open Saturdays and Sundays noon to 5 and online 24/7. A big thanks to the Lawrenceburg Public Library and the Lawrenceburg Friends for sponsoring our Year of Flowers and certainly this month's hibiscus. And a bigger thanks to you for expressing interest in our kits and checking them out and going home and DIYing with your botanicals. So this month's flower is hibiscus, which is a really good one for summertime. If any of us were lucky enough to travel or see a tropical location, either maybe not this summer, but a summer in the past or certainly one in the future, or have a cool Hawaiian print shirt, that's a very tropical and noteworthy flower that we oftentimes see probably more often than we realize. The hibiscus is in a huge family, a very large family. So imagine the hibiscus came from a mom and a dad that had about 11 or 12 brothers and sisters. And now imagine all the aunts and uncles and cousins in that family. So that would be a representation of a hibiscus. So the large family of the hibiscus is in the mellow family, just like the marshmallow or mellow root. And this is the Latin version of the hibiscus. It's in your kit, your bag. I'm not going to try to pronounce it because pronunciation is not my strength in life. And then just something that's noteworthy that I want to bring up is a common cousin that is here and bloom everywhere I look in my neighborhood and around, and is a super common like country flower, is the Rose of Sharon. Those big like shrubs or bushes, most of them are blooming right now or just finished up or are just beginning, depending on what kind of light and shade and soil they have. But I want to mention that they're a very close first cousin to the hibiscus, and Rose of Sharon are very edible and very nutritious. So as a joke, I like to call them the hillbilly hibiscus because we have them around us, and they look really similar too. When you snip one off and look at the heads and the stamen and the markings and the petals, you can tell that they're first cousins. So if you have Rose of Sharon, and sometimes people even find them invasive because they can kind of get woody and shrubby and sort of take over, please appreciate them in a new light and try to pick some of the flowers and incorporate them into a salad. It's just a pretty garnish. Or you can take the buds before they're fully open and take the little bract or the stamen off at the end, the green part, and pipe in like ricotta or any sort of cheese filling and make like a carb-free manicotti. There's a lot of uses for them. And then the leaves dry really well and they have a light flavor. And again, we're still talking about the cousin Rose of Sharon right now. And they make a really nice carrier for stronger teas. If you just want to kind of carry a really potent, strong flavor, or maybe a really expensive herb or botanical that you're trying to stretch, you can use the dry, cut and sifted Rose of Sharon leaves as like a carrier, just like we would use an jojoba oil or an almond oil as a carrier oil for a volatile concentrated essential oil. So this would carry a botanical, the leaves, kind of like a carrier oil would carry an essential oil. And then the true hibiscus, the one that's going to be in your kits, the tropical ones, are easy to find at nurseries. I see a lot of them kind of topiary trained and make really pretty entryways into homes and things of that nature. These are the hibiscus that we're talking about that is going to be in your kit to eat and drink. And just, I know everybody knows, but it's worth repeating. If you did get lucky enough to get a pretty hibiscus topiary or a plant for your garden this year, and you have it out on your patio, they can be endured. So you can bring those in over the winter. Now, oftentimes they'll drop all their leaves and flowers and look dead. They go into like a partial dormancy. But once the spring comes out and they can kind of sense the change in tides and they get introduced to a warmer climate and more sun again, they oftentimes grow back with absolutely no problem at all. So if you have a spot and you do have a hibiscus at home, it might be worth taking the time in September, about when we might get our first frost, and pull that in and see if you can't winter her over the winter. The flower heads are completely dried, bone dry, and then they're the solid ounce in your kit, but they're really heavy and dense. So they're a weighty and potent botanical head. So heavy and dense and potent that all you need for your ratios is 1 teaspoon to 8 to 12 ounces of water to make a really strong, colorful, flavorful, potent tea, or tisane, right? Because a tisane is a tea-like drink that actually doesn't contain tea. And then for larger batches, you only need a tablespoon for up to 48 ounces, even 64 ounces, honestly. So this is a flower that really gives you a big pack for its punch with a very small amount. So I would start with less and add more as you start to make your own teas and tisanes and recipes. One really cool thing about hibiscus, especially this time of year, the tisane, is it makes an incredible sun tea. So you could take like a nice clear, clean, bone-dry canning jar and then add whatever ratio you need of botanical to water, and go on ahead and add your botanical into your jar, and then lid it up and set it out on a sunny picnic table or window outside and turn it, and you'll see the magic happen before your very eyes. So it's a really rewarding sun tea too, especially for little kids, really for everyone. But particularly little children really enjoy it because you can just watch the magic happen before your very eyes. And then you could bring your sun tea in and just drink it over ice and have a plain hibiscus tisane, or you could incorporate it into a regular tea like a sweet tea or the tea that you would normally drink, a peppermint tea, a lemonade. So it blends and pairs well with a lot of common flavors that we already have. In your brochures that come with your ounce of hibiscus from Frontier, they have a really cool hibiscus handout, and you'll look through that, and they have a lot of recipes for mocktails, cocktails, and like cool hibiscus spritzers where they even incorporate flavors like cinnamon and things of that nature in. So you'll have a lot of follow-up recipes in your brochure, and it would be worth you taking the time to look them up. Another really cool way to use hibiscus for instant gratification and kind of take a day when you have a little extra time and then prepare and then be able to use it on regular hectic days the rest of the week is to make ice cubes. And by doing that, we do it a little differently than we've done in the past, is you just take an ice cube tray, and I would just take one little petal or pinch of my hibiscus flower, because again, this is a really potent, dense, strong botanical. And then use warmed boiling water instead of just tap water, and then fill your ice cube tray up with the little pinches of hibiscus, and the weight, they fall to the bottom, so you don't have to worry about them like mixing in if somebody's kind of fussy or finicky about a little leaf floating around in their drink. And they make these really intensely deep, dark, ruby red ice cubes, and they're really beautiful to look at. And then you just keep the ice cubes with a few little pinches of hibiscus in your freezer, and then whenever you make an ice water, a lemonade, a tea, really whatever cold drink would be your go-to, you add just a couple of those infused ice cubes, and it instantly gives you the color and the flavor. Now you'll notice in your kit this month, you did not receive a muslin bag with it, and oftentimes you do have a muslin bag. Well, I think all the other ones you have. But the exception for this one is it's such a heavy, weighty, dense, potent flower that it doesn't need a muslin bag as much as some of the other lighter, airier botanicals do, because it sinks to the bottom and kind of saturates and just falls to the bottom on its own. And then remember, in true folk medicine, if you want to try to get every ounce of medicine out of any botanical, we always try not to have a barrier or a veil between your water or whatever your solvent is and your botanical. So this is one that really allows for that to happen without little pieces of botanical or floaties coming around to be bothersome. So just some nutrient I guess little tidbits about our good old hibiscus is the hibiscus flowers are literally loaded with vitamin C. I mean, the quantity of vitamin C in your 8 to 12 ounce cup of tisane, hibiscus tisane, is virtually off the chart. And then there's quite a bit of scientific research that supports the fact that hibiscus lowers blood pressure. So certainly if you're already on a blood pressure medicine, to have it lowered and it's kind of an issue for you, I would just take time to call my pharmacist and be sure it was okay that you incorporated the two together, because it does lower blood pressure almost on the spot, which oftentimes can be a good thing, but not if that's an issue that you're worried about or you're already taking a prescription for. So just be mindful of that. And then it can tincture really well too. And you remember a tincture is just a bone-dry botanical that's infused in an 80 proof or higher grain alcohol, like a high-quality vodka or a pure grain or something along that nature. Oftentimes really fancy high-end tinctures or flower essences are carried in brandy as well. So if you ever wanted to make a vitamin C and or a lower your blood pressure tincture, hibiscus is a really good way to go. And if you ever have questions about tincture specifically, just shoot me an email because I have loads of information. I'd be happy to send you an attachment that would help you tincture on your own. The other fun thing about hibiscus, and this isn't technically a tincture, but you can easily, with a tablespoon or two, add into a fifth of vodka and infuse a really beautiful ruby red color and an enhanced flavor for fancy cocktails too. So that would definitely be an adult version, but it's fun to know about. Another thing about hibiscus, if you internally take it in as a tisane, and this would be daily or at least regularly, like several times a week, or every day your iced tea had an ice cube in it that had hibiscus, is it promotes hair growth. But again, that's internally. Remember, we've talked about some of our other botanicals, how they promote hair growth or retention, but it's external application. So to lower your blood pressure and get your vitamin C and promote your hair growth with hibiscus, you have to internalize and drink the tisane. Another property of hibiscus, internally taken in as a tisane, is it regulates and tones the female reproductive organs or system. And it blends really well with red raspberry leaf, which is another botanical that's super good for just women's reproductive organs and just basically overall women's health. And one thing about this is that generally anything that naturally produces a red bloom and turns red when it is introduced into a hot water in the world of botanicals generally is a good thing for a woman to take for her reproductive system. And then with the red raspberry leaf, we ingest the leaf, but the fruit that it makes is red. So it's kind of nature's way of pointing us in the right direction to choose things that our body needs. Another thing that does hibiscus is really fun with, and this kind of alters the whole flavor and texture and the whole vibe of the flower and the botanical, is it blends really well with chili and red pepper for like a warming tea. At the shop we have a warming crimsonberry tea, and it's hibiscus, cut and sifted rose hips and red chili peppers, and it makes a really deep ruby rich tea, and you drink it in the winter and it literally warms your whole body up. If you're somebody who always has like cold hands and feet in the winter, hibiscus blended with just a simple chili pepper, red pepper from your own cupboard that you already have makes a really intense but really earthy and just healthy warming tea, and you can just feel it the minute that you ingest it. It warms you up like on the spot without any alcohol. So just to show you really quickly the infusion and how fast we get our results, I boiled this water at home. Now it's been a hot minute, so she's a little warm. Denise, you'll have to edit this out if we have a fail. So this is like warm water, but it was boiling when I left, and I just wanted to show you, if she's going to do it, if you have your hot water, what kind of quick red color we can get. And I may have let my water cool off just a little bit, so we'll have to either edit this out, or you're going to know that if it was boiling we would have just insane ruby red color. And again, this is what makes it really nice for the sun tea, is because within an hour, 45 minutes, you can literally see the color happen. And then while I pour this and strain it to see if I can eke out a little color for you guys, just a speck. That's a pale pink. So yours would be about 3 or 4 shades of hues richer and darker than that. And again, this is just because the temperature of my water cooled off and it didn't stay as hot as I wanted it to for as long. But when I was speaking real quickly with Barbara Bonnie today and we were just catching up, she had a really cool kind of tip or recipe that one of the librarians here did. I think she said she works in the genealogy department. Forgive me that I don't remember the name. But she infused honey with hibiscus, and so you could certainly infuse oils and or honeys or even like syrups, like a corn syrup or a simple syrup, with the hibiscus flowers too. and you would just introduce them bone dry to your solvent. And honey obviously would be pretty thick and gooey, so you would probably need to put a decent amount in there, and then just turn it daily. Now I might like gently heat my honey, even if I put it like in a hot bath and let it boil in warm water, just to kind of speed things up and keep it from crystallizing. But Barbara seemed to think that they just incorporated the hibiscus flowers and turned it daily, and within less than a month you had a ruby red, really flavorful honey. So that's a super cool idea that I just wanted to mention, and I'm going to try it on my own, and maybe I'll mention it next month and let you know how it turned out. And though even this is kind of weak, even with warm water, you guys, right, that probably really lukewarm at this time, the boiling has long since gone, I would say just above room temperature, just with a little bit of time and room temperature water, we still get that pretty color. And it has a really nice tart flavor, but not bitter or sour. And that was completely unsweetened, and I like kind of tart or bitter flavors anyway, but it's a really palatable taste. So I guess what I'm getting at is give it a try, and this is something that you can really work into with your kids and things of that nature too. So in conclusion, we are going to send you home with an ounce of certified organic food grade cut and sifted hibiscus families. And remember, they're in the large, huge family of the Mellow family. Our common cousin here is the Rose of Sharon, and very edible and very nutritious. Feel free to follow up with me at Carisa at 7thstreetgifts.com if you have any questions. I'd love to send you more about the Rose of Sharon. If you have a true hibiscus that you bought for your pretty patio or your yard, try to bring her in over the winter and see if you can't keep her alive. And those flowers, as long as they haven't been sprayed with an herbicide or a pesticide, are completely ingestible and food grade. Remember, once they're dried, and like what's going to be in your kit that you check out and take home, the flower heads are dense, weighty, and potent. So much denser and more potent and weighty than previous botanicals from our other flowers of the year, specifically like the calendula. So all you need is 1 teaspoon to 8 to 12 ounces of water, 1 tablespoon for up to 48 ounces, maybe even a little bit more, to get a really nice, strong flavor and color. Remember, when you drink a drink that's similar to a tea, but it actually doesn't have tea or Camellia sinensis in it, it's called a tisane. And it makes an incredible sun tea. And remember, with this, we're not going to have a muslin bag in our kits because it's a heavy, dense flower that saturates, gets weighty, and sinks to the bottom of your jar all on its own. So when you pour off of the top, it's basically already filtered or skimmed out. You can take a little pinch, 1 or 2 pieces of petal into your ice cube tray and then pour hot, almost boiling water over it, and then freeze it and have like a pre-made hibiscus ice cube. And those can be incorporated in with lemonade, regular sun teas, any drink that you would normally have, even just good old ice water. It looks really pretty with a clean, clear glass of water, and then you drop 4 or 5 of your hibiscus ruby red ice cubes in there and you watch it diffuse and melt. And it's just pretty, and it tastes good too, and it's healthy. And then we touched on the infused honey idea and the infused syrup idea. And if you're just enthralled by this and intrigued like I am, ask your Lawrenceburg librarian for more information. And for the health benefits of our good old Year of the Flower hibiscus, we're loaded with vitamin C, off the charts vitamin C content, and then also all sorts of trace minerals and nutrients that create that color naturally, that are really hard to kind of isolate and pull out on their own. But it's just an all-over healthy beverage and a healthy flower to ingest. It lowers the blood pressure. It tinctures really, really well. It infuses into liquors and cocktails really, really well also. It promotes hair growth. It regulates and tones female reproductive organs and systems. And for a really good, healthful, like women's tea, it blends incredibly well with red raspberry leaf. And then for a warming crimson tea or a warming tea, hibiscus blends really well with chili and red peppers. And rose hips, it blends well with those too, and makes a really pretty deep, rich hue. And like I said, a component to those blends really warms you up and gets your hands and your feet all warmed up. And then you'll see just with a little bit more time and without the heat, we're still getting our beautiful color. And I just love hibiscus. So put on your Hawaiian shirt and pretend you're in Florida with those big hibiscus trees and the hummingbirds flying all around, and fill your clean jar up and set it out on your picnic table and have a really nice hibiscus tisane. And don't forget to look at your cool handout that's included with your brochures this month. They won't have a muslin bag, but you'll have your brochure. And there's a lot of recipes in there for other kind of blends, tropical flavors, all sorts of things. So thanks a million and one for checking out your kit and doing the Year of the Flowers with 7th Street Gifts and myself. And we'll see you next month for London Flower.